Heads up, boss.
Who is Spider-Man 2099? The insane Spidey variant from the future explained. The wait is over. Sony has released the trailer for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, and the hype is big enough to overshadow No Way Home at this point. The reason? Spider-Man 2099. The first movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, is easily one of the best Spider-Man movies ever. It boasted some of the greatest animations in cinema, blending several styles together, making it perfectly worthy of the Oscar. It revolves around Miles Morales and how he found himself in a multiverse full of spider heroes. So of course, a sequel was way overdue, as the first movie ends on two cliffhangers. One where Gwen calls out to Spider-Man from beyond the reality of Miles Morales, and another where a futuristic Spider-Man, i.e. Spider-Man 2099, makes an appearance. New problems in the multiverse require new characters, and in this video, we will talk about the one who made a shattering impression on fans and stans alike. Written by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 will hit theaters in October 2022. The second part will come out in 2023. Before diving into the content, we would like to make a very small request to our viewers. Please subscribe to Marvelous Videos, like and comment on our videos, and press the bell icon to be notified whenever we upload a video. We would be grateful to you, and we hope to bring you the best nerdy content. And with that, let's get right into this video. Spider-Man 2099 first debut in a magazine serial. In 1992, Spider-Man 2099 was created for the Marvel 2099 comic book line by Rick Leonardi and Peter David. This new Spider-Man was a tad different compared to its original, created by Stan Lee, in the sense that it was more futuristic and boasted a different design for his spider suit. Instead of Peter Parker, we get Miguel O'Hara, who is an Irish-Mexican geneticist. He lived in New York like Peter, which is called Nueva York, in 2099, and turned into Spider-Man after he tried to replicate the powers of the original Spider-Man and others. However, an accident during his work causes half his DNA to mesh with a spider's genetic code. Spider-Man 2099 has appeared beyond comics. His most notable media appearance so far would be in the post-credits scene of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. He will return to the screen in its sequel, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man 2099 first appeared in the first issue of The Amazing Spider-Man in a 5-page sneak preview. It went on to have its first issue not long after. The sales were phenomenal, with each issue selling over 100,000 copies. However, due to Marvel's unstable finances during the late 1990s, the comic line with Spider-Man 2099 underwent a drastic shift. The editor, Joey Cavalieri, was fired, and the other writers, including Peter David, resigned to show solidarity with Joey. As a result, the last two issues were done with fill-in writers and without Peter David. After Marvel acquired a new staff to work on Spider-Man 2099, the new titles, 2099 World of Tomorrow, went on to have 8 more issues. In April 2009, Marvel published the first 10 issues under a collection edition and extended it to 14 by 2013. Miguel O'Hara's character was also reimagined for a 2009 4-issue limited series called The Time Storm 2009 to 2099. Who is Spider-Man 2099? Miguel O'Hara lives in the year 2099 in Nueva York, which is the futuristic name for New York City, and works as a genetic engineer. He works for Alchemax International, which is a powerful corporation that controls the United States of America. Even though he did not stand by the corporation's power of New York City, he was pressured to experiment on imprinting genetic codes on the human body by the Vice President Tyler Stone. He tested on a subject called Mr. Sims against his will, which ended horribly as the man turned into a horrifying creature and died. At this point, Miguel was done with Alchemax and tried to resign. Stone made Miguel a drink laced with a highly addictive hallucinogenic drug called Rapture that binds itself to the human DNA. He thought this would keep Miguel in the company. Miguel decides to retest the genetic procedure that killed Sims, but on himself instead to get rid of the drug. However, his supervisor Aaron Delgato sabotages his attempt by trying to kill him. But Miguel survives after his DNA was spliced and half of it bonded to the genes of a spider. He gained powers associated with Spider-Man and lost his addiction to rapture. Unlike the original Spider-Man, Miguel had talons that could cut into things and body parts. This is basically what happened when Aaron almost fell off a ledge, and even though Miguel tried to save him, his talon cut into Aaron's arm and Aaron fell to his death. A member from the Church of Thor mistook Miguel for Spider-Man and termed him as such, thinking that the legendary Spider-Man was back from the dead. Later, Miguel discovered that touching his talons caused them to retract automatically. He also acquired enhanced eyesight and webbing. He made a makeshift costume for himself with an unstable molecule. Major story arcs. Before we dive into the major story arcs that took place over the course of the story, let's discuss what happened prior to the events of the upcoming arcs. A bounty hunter from Alchemax named Vulture was out hunting for Miguel. After the both of them battled, Miguel, aka Spider-Man 2099, reigned victorious by opening a hole in Vulture's cybernetic leg and used his combat rod to short-circuit his systems. After a few days, Tyler Stone decided to pay Miguel a visit. The Specialist. Stone arrived at Miguel's apartment with 3 public eye officers. Miguel was made to accept his job back at Alchemax reluctantly, as not doing so would result in his incarceration, as Tyler thought that Miguel had obtained rapture illegally. By this time, Miguel had spilled the beans about the events in his life to his assistant Lila. Meanwhile, Miguel's brother Gabriel had a girlfriend named Casey who had been kidnapped by a man with a sword. Miguel had agreed to help him out. On reaching the work facility, Tyler told Miguel that he thought Aaron was Spider-Man. Right then, Casey escaped a group of public eye officers, stole one of their guns, and took Miguel as her hostage. He had no idea that this was Casey, who was Gabriel's girlfriend. Later, they realized who the other person was when Miguel was being taken back home when he noticed the mysterious samurai with a sword, aka the Specialist, was chasing Casey. Miguel slipped into his spider suit and pursued the Specialist to save Casey. However, he was outclassed in the fight with ease. Miguel was later able to find his footing in the fight, and Casey helped him evade the problematic situation. After the Specialist caught up and the two began to fight again, Miguel unknowingly killed him. A sergeant whose son was severely slashed by Spider-Man not too long ago fired at him against Tyler's orders. Miguel was plummeted down to downtown, aka the underbelly of Nueva York. Vulture 2099. Miguel survived the crash thanks to his superpowers. The public eye officers wanted to arrest him, but he was saved by the Vulture right at the nick of time. However, when he woke up again, he found himself in a cell. He tried to leave the prison, but realized that the Vulture was one of the jailers himself. The Vulture told him about the Freakers, who were the strongest and the most violent clique in downtown. The Vulture wanted Spider-Man to become a part of the Freakers. Later, Miguel realized that the Vulture was a cannibal and that he had to find him. The duo fought and dueled at the St. Patrick's Cathedral. When Vulture was almost about to overwhelm him, Casey reappeared with reinforcements to help Miguel and decimate the enemy. Later, as Vulture was hanging over a high ledge and finally fell off, Miguel tried to save him, but due to his webbing being damaged, Vulture fell to his death. Early adventures. In a special story arc, Miguel met the original Peter Parker and they fought the Hobgoblin together in 2211 AD. Miguel also found out about Tyler Stone being his real father. Miguel then got into a fight with his girlfriend Donna and reconnected with his ex-girlfriend Xena, after which they left the town together. When they returned to Nueva York, they saw that Doom was the president of the United States while Miguel was declared heir to Alchemax Research and Development Department. Doom wished for Spider-Man to join his cabinet, but Spider-Man did not accept the offer. Miguel met his half-brother Kron Stone, even though the latter had been presumed to be dead. Doom was finally cast away from the White House and Miguel refused to work for Alchemax ever again. Superior Altercations. Wolverine had broken the space-time continuum quite a number of times. This, in turn, had caused several time distortions in Nueva York. Due to the gravity of the situation, Miguel went to the Alchemax Corporation, where he learned about the distortions originating from the heroic age from the past. The new phenomenon was also causing Tyler Stone to fade into oblivion quite literally. Miguel realized that he would not exist without Tyler coming first, so agreed to cooperate with Alchemax to curb the situation. He was sent to the present, aka the now, in the real world, where he met Spider-Man, who was actually Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man's body. Miguel realized that he was now stranded in this past as Tyler had destroyed a time portal to keep Miguel behind to allow Alchemax to be formed in the past. Miguel becomes the assistant of his grandfather Tiberius, Ty Stone, under the name Michael O'Mara. Goblin Nation. Miguel assisted the original Spider-Man in fighting the Goblin King's army. J. Jonah Jameson had built robots which ended up capturing the two of them. The Goblin King then hijacked those robots. The Spider Slayers closed down on him as Otto fled to find Anna. After the real Spider-Man arrived, Miguel found out that the other Spider-Man was Dr. Octopus in Peter's body. In the end, Osborn was defeated while Miguel ensured the safety of the Alchemax employees. Undercover in Alchemax. Miguel worked in the present-day Alchemax that is the one in Peter Parker's timeline. An agent of Totem had come to erase Miguel from the time stream as he worked as a vigilante. Miguel, as Spider-Man, had escaped to the office of Alchemax's CEO, Liz Allen, but learned that his future interaction was one of the primary reasons why the agent needed to ensure his erasure. The agent tried to erase the CEO, but Spider-Man caused that plan to backfire. Meanwhile, Liz then begins her search for Spider-Man 2099. When Liz accuses him of being a fraud Spider-Man, Miguel uses a holographic device to show her futuristic technology and tell her that he is from the future and is the grandson of Tiberius Stone. He also shares a kiss with Liz later. Miguel goes to Transable with Tiberius Stone to help sell the Spider Slayers. Rebels opposing the regime end up attacking them, capturing Tiberius. The Scorpion arrives, who opposes Spider-Man. The two fight for a brief period until Miguel learns that the Spider Slayers, who were now active, wanted to kill Miguel because he was Spider-Man. The Spider Slayers are set on the civilians by Scorpion. Later, Tiberius claims that he did not wish to sell the Spider Slayers anymore as people were exploiting its power. In the end, Stone introduced Miguel to Mac Gargan. Spider-Verse. Miguel suffered from visions where he was being killed in other realities. However, a particular vision of being killed by Morlun made him seek out Peter Parker. He also met Silk to confront the looter who had stolen equipment from Spider UK's Spider Army. Spider-Man and Silk joined this army and retreated back to Earth 13. Miguel became a part of Spider-Man's away team on this Earth. The Deimos appeared to partake in the fight and took on the Spider armies as well, but he was defeated. Inheritors arrived in larger numbers to wreak havoc, and it was found out that they used clone bodies. Miguel fled with 6-armed Spider-Man and Lady Spider with the body of dead Deimos. Miguel dissected the corpse with Lady Spider and Alchemax and then returned to Earth 13 again. They later stumbled upon the remains of Leopardon and fixed it with nuclear material. With this new army, they took on the Inheritors. Once the Inheritors were neutralized, Spider-Man, including Miguel, returned to their own timelines. Imperfect 2099. The timeline Miguel returned to was one where Alchemax had caused the world to be devastated. The Lord of Dystopia, Maestro, ruled over everything, and he mistook Miguel for the original Spider-Man. Miguel was beaten up and locked in a cell with the Doctor Strange of 2099. The two of them managed to escape using Doctor Doom's time platform and return to Earth 616. Return to the Past and Future Rewritten. Miguel had returned to the past, or Peter's timeline, to fight the Inheritors once again. He did so because the Prime Marvel Universe had changed so much that the future was getting ruined. He warned the original Spider-Man about the timeline, destabilizing, and then vanished from existence. But he ended up on a remote island where Tempest and Gabri recognized him.
Follow me! Get out of here, Spider-Man! We got this!
Powers and abilities of Spider-Man 2099. The powers and abilities of this Spider-Man are similar to that of the original Spider-Man, but there are certain differences as well. He inherited his powers after the DNA of a spider was imprinted on him and not from a radioactive spider. Superhuman strength and speed. Of course, Spider-Man 2099 has superhuman strength and can execute huge leaps of 30 feet. He's also way faster than the finest human athletes. In fact, his speed allows him to leave double bodies that act as decoy for the enemy's attacks. Superhuman agility and durability. He excels at bodily coordination, agility, and balance because that is a part and parcel of being Spider-Man. His reflexes and stamina are also highly enhanced and way above that of human comprehension. He is also extremely durable and can resist huge impacts due to his enhanced bodily tissues. Telepathy. The full limits of this ability are yet to be explored, but he can communicate with humans on a telepathic level. It is an ability that comes with his spider sense. Accelerated vision. O'Hara can see things that are extremely far away. He also has impeccable visual clarity at night and can see in almost complete darkness, probably due to being able to view the infrared end of light. He can also see things that move at high speeds, which will generally be perceived as a blur by others. This helps him see attacks and fight enemies. Accelerated healing and longevity. His genetically advanced body allows him to heal at rapid speeds. He also possesses a superhuman metabolism. His bodily tissues heal at an accelerated rate, but it isn't known whether he could perform feats such as regenerating limbs, organs, or be resistant to toxins. This rapid regeneration of cells also increases his lifespan. Talons and fangs. Something that visibly sets O'Hara apart when compared to Peter is that he possesses fangs and talons. His fangs secrete non-toxic venom that can paralyze the opponent. His fingers and toes come with short and retractable talons that allow him to crawl. Its razor sharpness also makes these talons formidable in a fight. Spinnerets. His forearms have spinnerets that release the webbing Spider-Man is known for. He uses these webs to restrain his opponents and swing from building to building. Unlike Peter Parker, O'Hara's webs are organically produced. Hand-to-hand combat. O'Hara is a formidable hand-to-hand combatant despite not having any formal training. High IQ. O'Hara has a genius intellect, which makes him a revered geneticist. Computer skills. He is exemplary at hacking and has hacked into the computers of Iron Man, Dr. Doom, Mr. Fantastic, and Sam Beckett. How does Spider-Man 2099 fit in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? The trailer for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 is finally out, and it takes us back to one of the post-credit scenes from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. As Miles Morales flies through this multiverse, another Spider-Man appears in the trailer. Previously, we had seen him on the first movie's post-credits where Miguel puts on a gizmo to hop around universes with the companionship of his AI assistant Lila. He wants to test the new gadget and ends up meeting the Spider-Man from the 1960s. This is Spider-Man 2099, voiced by Oscar Isaac, and he is believed to be a crucial addition to the sequel. This raises the burning question: how does Spider-Man 2099 fit into the plot? The organization where Miguel O'Hara works, Alchemax, is the key here. In the present, this is where Olivia Octavius works. Gwen Stacy snoops around this place as well. The spider that gave Miles his powers is connected to Miguel's timeline. This spider's design had the same coloration as used for the 2099 world. It also keeps glitching as if it does not belong to Miles Morales' world. There's another possibility that talks about the original Spider-Man sticking his head into the Super Collider, causing the spider to get sucked in to grab Miguel. There's a popular logic in the movie that implies that the Super Collider plays around with time, so that may have something to do with tying Miles Morales up with Miguel.
Where do you want to go first?
Let's start at the beginning, one last time.
The connection between Miguel and Miles, and why is Spider-Man 2099 attacking Miles Morales? The altercation between Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2099 is one of the focal points of the trailer of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse as Miles travels across his own reality. But why does Miguel attack Miles? There should be no reason for this rivalry. Rather, they should be completely oblivious of one another. There's a chance that this scene happens later after the two characters have already met and formed a rivalry. There could also be something that Miguel is aware of, as he is from the future and is trying to prevent it from happening. Alchemax might have something to do with this as well, but this is the least likely of all instances.
Who are you? Are you me? And what's up with the costume? Is that a metallic fiber?
Spider-Man 2099, appearance in television, film, animated series, and video games. We have already spoken about the appearance of Miguel in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but aside from that, the character has appeared in other forms of media as well. On television, he appeared in the short-lived show Spider-Man Unlimited. This was originally going to be about Spider-Man 2099, but ended up being centered on Peter Parker. However, it did borrow some elements from the 2099 comic line. Ultimate Spider-Man aired a 4-part crossover episode in the 3rd season where Spider-Man 2099 makes an appearance. He teams up with Peter Parker to fight the Green Goblin. Spider-Man 2099 appeared in several video games such as Spider-Man, Spider-Man Web of Shadows, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, Spider-Man The Edge of Time, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 the video game, and Spider-Man Unlimited. What did you think about the trailer? Did you enjoy this video? If yes, then don't forget to like and comment on this video. Till then, goodbye and have a nice one.